I'm Michael DeLucia, and today we're going to do a Xero overview. I'm really going to focus on four main topics. I'm going to start with the Xero Dashboard, and then we're going to talk about invoices and how you're going to get paid from those customers and how that would work. Third, we're going to talk about how to reconcile your bank accounts, basically account for all the deposits and expenses that flowed through your bank accounts. And then lastly, we're going to talk about the different reports in Xero. And so the Xero Dashboard is really the top items that businesses look at on a daily basis. And so Xero took all of those items and basically made it into their dashboard. So the first thing you see when you log in is the Xero Dashboard. On the left-hand side here, you're going to have all the different bank accounts. So there's a checking and a savings on this account. But many times, a lot of businesses, are going to have credit cards as well. So that would show up here also. So as many bank accounts and credit cards that you have would show up on the Xero Dashboard that you wanted to. You can customize it how you want to for you to see it. And then you're going to see on the checking account, you're going to see how many items that you need to reconcile. Basically, how many you need to go into Xero and tell what they belong to. Is it a deposit? Is it expense? And it's going to show you the balance as of a particular day. So on today's August 2nd, so it's saying the statement balance is on August 1st is 1608.77. Then you have your balance in Xero, which is your book balance, which is basically made up of these 29 items showing that these still need to be reconciled, and then any outstanding checks or deposits that you've told Xero have occurred but have not cleared the bank yet. Okay, on the right side here you have your account watch list. So these are any accounts that you want to keep an eye on or focus on. So a lot of business owners will look at sales, and so they want to see, okay, how are we doing year to date? How are we doing this month? Let's say that you have an advertising budget that you're trying to maintain on a monthly and yearly basis, and so this is going to tell you where you are. Then underneath that, you're going to have sort of a summary of the invoices owed to you. So that just means that any invoices that you've sent to customers or clients, this is what they owe, and it shows you what customers haven't paid you yet and are beyond the due date. That's the red here, and then it shows you how many are coming up this week, how many are coming up the following week, and it also has drafts, awaiting payment, and overdue. So the next box is pretty much the same, but it's the bills that you owe. So which bills are overdue and need to be paid, which bills are coming up this week and the following week, and so on and so forth. Underneath that, you have the expense claims. So if you're adding a receipt for any of the expenses that came through your checking, savings, or credit cards, you could do so here and then match that receipt up to the expense when you reconcile that account. Down here on the bottom on the left-hand side, you have your total cash in and cash out. So it's just tracking, how much money has come in versus how much money has gone out. And you can see the blue represents the money in and the gray represents the money out, and then it will show you the difference. So what I want to do next is to show you what an invoice could look like when you send it to a client or a customer. And so the first thing we have to do is add the invoice, which I've already added, but I just want to show you there's a plus bar right here that you can hit. And actually, if you can put an invoice, a bill, a quote, purchase order, a contact, or a journal entry. Xero makes it real easy. You could just come right in here. You can also go to new sales invoice. I've already created the invoice within Xero, and I've already actually emailed it as well. So I just want you to be able to see what that invoice would look like. And so you come here, and here is the invoice that I sent. And inside the invoice, you can quickly just click email and email it. And this is what the email looks like. Hi, and then you can customize this. I just kind of left it as is. Here's the invoice, and you can click on this link here, and that's going to take you to your online Xero account. So a customer can click on that link, and here's what the online invoice looks like. You can add custom detail here at the bottom. Your logo will be here and all the details of what a typical invoice would have. They can then click Pay Now, and if you have it linked up to a payment processor, and here's one that's linked up to PayPal, then they can come right in here directly and make that payment via PayPal, which is then going to mark that invoice as paid, and then Xero is going to be looking out for that amount to clear the bank. Now we're going to talk about how to reconcile your bank accounts. So all activity is going to come in through the bank feed on a daily basis, and it's going to show up here on this blue button on how many you have to reconcile. And reconciling is just the act of really accounting for all or anything that's gone through your bank account. So this checking account, since the last time we classified the transaction, there's been 29 items. On the left-hand side are all the bank transactions. So this is a bank transaction, and so on and so forth down. On the right side is how you're going to match or reconcile those in Xero. So I want to cover basically 4 different ones: how to reconcile an invoice, a bill, bank rules, and transfers. So let's start with an invoice first. When you send out an invoice to a customer and that gets paid, the deposit's going to clear the bank. And typically, if it matches the invoice itself, Xero's just going to try to match them up. So you can see here that these two match up, $6,187.50 to $6,187.50. And if it didn't match up, then you can click the Find and Match button, and here's the list of all your invoices. So let's say that you deposited 2 checks for 2 separate invoices. So obviously the amount that is received is not going to match up to those invoices. So you'll have to click Find and Match, find the 2 invoices, and clear those. So the same goes for any bills or checks. So this check was sent out for Truxton Property Management. Now that it's cleared the bank, Xero went ahead and tried to match those up. So the same concept of having to use the find and match for the invoices when there's multiple invoices will be the same on the bill or check side. So we sent out 1 check for $4,500 to cover 2 bills. So if you go to, and in this case it does not match up, and the reason is just that there's no bill for $4,500. It's 2 separate bills. So you'll click on the match button, you'll click on find and match, and it will list out all your bills and checks here. Since there's a lot of them, you can just go ahead and type in the search bar something detailing out what we're looking for. So this one's to Smart Agency, so we'll type in Smart, and then here are the 2 bills. Now once I check both of these, this is going to light up in green for us to be able to reconcile this bill. So there you go, and then we'll go ahead and clear that. Okay, next I want to talk about transfers. So anytime you have multiple bank accounts or credit cards accounts within your business, which is very typical, you're going to be either transferring money to savings or you may be paying the credit card. You'll do that all using the transfer tab here. So let's just assume this was $59.55 that was transferred to the savings account. So to reconcile this transaction, you'll click Transfer, you'll choose which bank account it was transferred to, and then you'll click OK. Then when you're reconciling the savings account, this will be received on the savings account side, and you'll have to match this transfer to that to the transfer from this bank account. Okay, then lastly on the reconcile screen, I want to talk about bank rules. A lot of times you'll incur the same expenses month in and month out. And so to have to come in here and manually code those can be very time consuming. So coming in here and creating a bank rule. so that anytime Xero sees this expense, they automatically code this to the correct account. So let's just say that you go to 7-Eleven and you fill up your gas. And normally you would have to come in here and put in 7-Eleven if there was no rule here. You'd have to put in auto and then gas, and you'd hit OK. But in this case, we've already told Xero that anytime it sees 7-Eleven, to code it to 7-Eleven automobile expenses and gas. So now all you have to do is see that they match up, and you just come in and hit OK. So if you think of the time that can save you, if there's a lot of reoccurring expenses that you're incurring week, month, or year out, then it will, the savings of time can really add up. The thing I want to cover is the reports in Xero. So you can go to reports, all reports, and it's going to take you to all the different reports you can choose from. So there's also the favorited reports. So if you checked or click on the star here, it's going to show up here as a favorite report. So the top two that are typically looked at are going to be the income statement and the balance sheet. So I wanted to at least kind of show you those reports. So here's the income statement for this demo company, and it's listed out by month. It has your revenue, cost of sales, operating expenses, and this is something that can be customized to the layout that you want to see. And then here's the balance sheet. Same, you can customize it to the layout you want to see, and it's broken down between assets, liabilities, and equity. Okay, so that's the overview in Xero.